Well, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. This is the brand new week. Today is the 14th of April 2025. Welcome back from the weekend. For the ladies, welcome back from Dominette. It was amazing. It was wonderful. We closed the streets off. It shows that women are ready to take up their space, to earn their space, and to take up whatever the Father has given to them. But also yesterday, the Kingdom of Uganda and Uganda at large celebrated the 70th birthday of the Kabaka of Buganda, Magulu Nyondo Chuchu Segwanga Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II. It was jubilation as the kingdom and the special invited guests attended prayers at the cathedral in Namirembe, and we celebrated the king. It's beautiful to see him alive and healthy and looking so good. I was happy the other weekend when I saw him flagging off the annual Kabaka birthday run, and of course seeing him healthy is something that all Baganda are really happy about. But also I understand that there are many people that love the Uganda kingdom and also love the Kabaka and joined us in these celebrations. So from me and from the family here at UBC, we say awangale Sabasajja Kabaka wa Buganda. Well, that being said, I am here with the man. He's back, and that is none other than Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Together, we are ready to usher you into this brand new week. Also, you need to remember that this Friday will be Good Friday. So if you have been fasting, we congratulate you. You're coming to the end of the fast, and we say that you did well. You did amazing. It's important for us to come close to God every chance that we get. But I wonder if Robert was actually fasting. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, lady in red.
Orange. How are you? Colorblind
I must
again.
expect very soon, despite the fact that I doubt if there are any that would look good on me.
Of course. You're a handsome man.
Oh.
Has someone told you you're handsome today?
Not yet.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Olive. Well, that is the goodness of working with a beautiful lady every morning. There is something to spice up your morning. Now, very interestingly, you talked about the Kabaka's birthday. Now, in a message delivered to him by the Katikiro of Uganda, Charles Peter Maiga, His Majesty, the King of Uganda, came out and condemned people who are dividing the kingdom on seeking their own interest. But he also thanked the people of Uganda, Buganda, and Baganda for standing with him and praying for him when he was out of the country for treatment. But I think my highlight was seeing Honorable Matthias Mpuga and Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu sitting together, talking freely in church, and at one time I saw as if they were whispering to each other, and of course the cameras never denied us.
That was journalistic food. You can't
So I
miss
just
that.
enjoyed the moment.
Yeah.
And when the Kabaka, still in his message, urged the people of Uganda that let's not be divided because of our political intentions or political affiliations. It just took me back to something that was trending on social media. That is Churchill James Ssentamu, the guild president of Makerere University.
Yes.
If
And
I-
also a nephew to NUP President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu.
Now, if I have seen any young man very focused and a leader indeed, is that young man. I followed his press conference word by word. And
Impressive.
I said that, to be honest, yes, we have leaders in the next generation.
And you know what stood out for me in his press conference, Robert? It actually showed that this is the kind of leader that Uganda needs. These are the leaders of tomorrow that are being shamed. He did mention that, yes, I have personal issues and then I have an office to serve. When duty calls, I do what my office requires me to do. And honestly speaking, I found it distasteful, the message his father put on social media, castigating him for having had a photo op with the president. The father forgets that I won't even call him, he's a man. This man contested for the guild president as an independent candidate, not as a candidate of the National Unity Platform Party. He was never given a ticket.
According to Louis Rubongoya, the Secretary General of National Unity Platform, he said he contested but was defeated.
Exactly.
But
now
and
the
therefore,
students...
he also ceases to be a member of NUP because he went ahead and contested as an independent despite failing to secure victory, the party ticket. So in National Unity Platform, if you go as an independent, you cease being a member, and you have to go through a rigorous process for you to be readmitted into the party.
Well, the students of Makerere University chose him. They chose him without having a party affiliation. And I think probably sometimes us choosing parties is the reason why we choose the leaders in parliament that cannot serve us. Maybe sometimes we have to support the people we believe in, not because of the party that they represent.
Do you want to take us back to the movement system? Should we have a referendum again and see?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if the people are confident in you as an independent and choose to vote for you, then we should respect the decision of the people, because at the end of the day, these are the people you're going to serve. And the students of Makerere University made a decision and said, this is our person. So we cannot go ahead and say when he's doing his duty, then he's not serving the needs of the party. Yet your party has already said you're not part of us because we didn't give you a card. Do you see the hypocrisy? Yeah. But anyway, Robert, last week we also had a report of a police officer that was killed due to mob justice in Uganda district. Now, a postmortem has come back and it has indicated that the police officer was actually not poisoned as the family alleged, because the family alleged that probably there was foul play and he died in police custody. However, the report shows that he had what is called lobar pneumonia, a type of pneumonia that affects the entire lung or a big portion of the lung. So that's what killed the gentleman. And because of that, when the family thought that there was foul play, unfortunately, the village people decided to murder a police officer that had been sent at the burial to maintain security. You see how mob justice takes us like 100 years back.
And I don't know why we choose to call that mob justice. I feel offended whenever we put the word justice. It should be mob injustice. Because you see, justice means it is fair. You've been convicted by a competent court beyond reasonable doubt.
Yes.
And sentenced, therefore, to death. Either by hanging, as our laws have it, because we use the hanging method. And I'm told our gallows are very fresh and ready in case need arises. Now, at no way can we say that is mob justice. It is mob injustice. And it has never delivered justice. Maybe, but it has never delivered justice, I must insist. But what I want to say, and which is very clear, because even in Kasese, recently we saw residents march to a police station regarding the disappearance of a missing child, saying the suspect was arrested, then given police bond on that very day. Police comes out and says, you have this person in our custody, we are taking him in court. So, one, police also to a certain extent must be a little bit more transparent. That is one. Their communication skills, I don't know how best they can do it. And they must be very proactive. But sometimes, our police being a law enforcement, their public relations at lower levels is lacking. Nationally, yes, they are very good, but lower levels, it is lacking. PRO, there is something we must do, more so when following sensitive cases. When following sensitive cases, that you must, to what extent are you updating people because you know that this is a very sensitive case. So you must give it special attention, therefore, to avoid some of these incidents. We lost a police officer. The Kasese issue, as people are marching to a police station, you may end up firing live bullets, then you have stray bullets. Yet if it's communication, that if you're saying this person is not with us, come and see. Like prisons one time did it when they were saying, so no, Frank Maine, the prison spokesperson, invited the press. Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? This is part with us.
Well, thank you, Robert. And unfortunately, because of this incident in Uganda, over 40 people have so far been arrested to aid in the investigation. So this is a reminder that sometimes mob action is not really, it's actually uncalled for. We have to let competent courts and the justice system to do its job. Now, that being said, let's have a look at our local stories.
We'll begin with President Museveni, who has commended Ugandan scientist Dr. Mathias Magola for securing a United States patent for cancer treatment, describing their achievement as a major milestone for Uganda's scientific advancement. The president made the remarks after meeting Dr. Magola, the founder and managing director of Delhi Biopharm Limited, a state house in Entebbe, where the scientist briefed him on the successful patent and his company's ongoing efforts to manufacture life-saving drugs and vaccines. On his part, Dr. Magola informed President Museveni that the United States Patent and Trademark Office officially granted and published his patent on February 6th this very year. He mentioned that patent covers a novel cancer treatment developed over several years using guided RNA attached to the cassadine protein to target and destroy mutated genes responsible for cancer. He added that unlike existing FDA-approved gene editing therapies, his innovation is specifically tailored to treat all types and stages of cancer without harming healthy cells. He cited that this precaution eliminates the severe side effects commonly associated with chemotherapy, antibody therapy, and radiation. The Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, appealed to the clergy to mobilize parishioners to embrace government initiatives that are aimed at increasing household income. Alupo said that religious leaders have regular contact with believers, and this can be taken as an advantage to promote pro-government programs such as the Parish Development Model, PDM, Emyoga, GROW, Youth Livelihood, and WEP. She made the call as she joined Christians of Our Lady of Snow Vinca Cathedral Fort Portro in Kabarole District during the Holy Mass to celebrate Palm Sunday. The Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II, commended people who remained strong and prayed for him during the time he was out of the country for treatment. This was contained in his message delivered by the Katikiro of Uganda, Charles Peter Maiga, during the celebration mass of the 70th birthday held at Lubaga Cathedral. Thousands from different parts of Uganda, and outside flocked Lubaga Cathedral to attend the historical prayer for the 7th birthday of Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi. The Mass was led by the Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, Paul Semogere. The Archbishop Semogere said that Kabaka's birthday signifies unity and advised all people to unite despite their different political affiliations. He applauded His Majesty for welcoming all religions to exercise their beliefs in his kingdom and condemned some people with their own intentions for dividing Buganda. In his message delivered by the Buganda Katikiro Charles Peter Maiga, His Majesty the Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II commended people and said they should remain strong during tough times. Katikiro Maiga emphasized that during the Kabaka Mutebi's reign, a lot has been achieved in different sectors of health, agriculture, and education. The Nabagereka of Buganda, Sylvia Najinda, the royal family, Buganda ministers, former Vice President Edward Kiwanuka II, members of parliament, among other dignitaries in various capacities, attended the mass. And finally, from the local scene, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, is concerned over the use of money to bribe voters during elections and campaign period, which he termed as promoting open corruption. He was delivering Palm Sunday sermon at the Church of the Resurrection in Ugolobi, Kampala. Every year, Christians gather at their respective places of worship to commemorate Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday is the day when Jesus Christ made triumphant entry in Jerusalem, a time that preceded his arrest and crucifixion. Praise and worship was the order adopted by Christians after Jesus' resurrection. At the Church of Resurrection in Ugolobi, His Grace Dr. Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, warned Ugandans ahead of the general elections that they should desist and shun money offered to buy votes. In the sermon on the people who betrayed Jesus, Kazimba was concerned over the ongoing child abuse in the country. Meanwhile, at All Saints Cathedral in Nakasero, Christians gathered to celebrate Palm Sunday. There was praise and worship from Christians, thanking God for enabling them to reach that day. The guest preacher, Venerable Olivia Ofelubu from Nigeria, urged Christians to stick unto the Lord. Venerable Olivia also encouraged them to allow God use their lives so that they can bring change in whatever they do. And that brings us to the end of our local stories.
Well, welcome back from church. Now let's have a look at the international news, where a Russian missile attack on the Ukrainian city of Sumy, which killed 34 people, including 2 children, and injured 117 others, has been strongly condemned by Kyiv's Western allies. 2 ballistic missiles struck the city center mid-morning on Sunday, exploding near the State University and Congress Center, leaving bloodied bodies scattered in the streets. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the attack horrifying, while Germany's Chancellor-in-waiting Friedrich Merz accused Russia of committing a war crime. There was no immediate official comment on the attack from Russia, whose forces across the nearby border are said to be preparing for a major offensive. The attack comes as the United States, Ukraine's strongest military ally, has been pursuing an end to the war, now in its 4th year, through negotiation under President Donald Trump. Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky has urged Trump himself to visit Ukraine and see the devastation brought by Russia's invasion. On Sunday, in an interview for CBS's 60 Minutes program, offering his condolences to the victims' loved ones, Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, said the attack was a tragic reminder of why the Trump administration was putting so much time and effort into trying to end this war. Earlier, Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, used strong language, saying the attack had crossed any line of decency. Now moving on, United States President Donald Trump has said that no one is getting off the hook on trade after his administration appeared to dial down pressure on China by issuing a notice exempting certain high-tech products from his reciprocal tariffs. In the latest twist in the Trump administration's trade war on Sunday, the president said that there were no exceptions to the tariffs, as smartphones, laptops and other products were still subject to an existing 20% duty, and the items were being moved to a different tariff bucket. Speaking to reporters on board Air Force One later on Sunday, Trump said he would announce new tariffs on semiconductors over the next week. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick said earlier that the reprieve for high-tech products, many of which are manufactured in China, would be temporary, and that semiconductor tariffs would be in place within weeks. Now coming back to Africa, Gabon's military leader, General Brice Oligui Nguema, who in 2023 led a coup that ended a near 60-year dynasty, has won Saturday's presidential election with more than 90% of the vote, provisional results show. Ahead of the vote, critics argued that the new constitution and electoral code were designed to give Oligui Nguema a comfortable pathway to the top job. Some opposition heavyweights who could have posed a serious political challenge were excluded from the race. His election victory consolidates his grip on power nearly 2 years after he masterminded the demise of President Ali Bongo, whose family had been in power in Gabon since 1967. Oligui Nguema, 50, faced 7 other candidates, including former Prime Minister Elaine Claude Bile Baignes, who served under the Bongo regime, and 2 stalwarts of the former ruling PDG party, Stéphane Germain Iloko and Elaine Simplice. Interior Minister Haman Imongold announced his main challenger, Billy Baignes, received just about 33% of the votes. More than 7 out of 10 registered voters took part in the poll, which the authorities and some observers hailed as signifying the election took place transparently and peacefully. Well, that does it for our international news. Now let's have a look at the New Vision and the Daily Monitor, and later on papers from East Africa.
Well, the New Vision, big headline there: government takes over admission in private universities. Still, government to compensate former West Nile rebels 26 billion Uganda shillings. And still, the New Vision gives you offers of jobs, about 870 jobs there for you in the New Vision. But still very interesting, the Kabaka Thanksgiving prayers held. The Vision gives you what was happening or what transpired there. Uganda richest man shares secrets of making wealth. Who is that? What secrets? If you want to be rich, definitely they're there for you. Now, allow me quickly move to the Daily Monitor this morning. And in the Daily Monitor this morning, Uganda underfunded services leave persons with disabilities struggling, and prayer for the king as he starts a new year. That is the 7th floor. Still, drug cartels hook university students, and the statistics are quite scary here because when we look at police, Ministry of Health statistics, they show us that 11,491 cases of substance or drug use disorder patients were hospitalized between 2023 and 2024. Those are the people who were admitted in hospitals. Now, we have 2,240 police cases, the number of cases that were reported in 2024, and we have 480 cases that were under inquiry in courts of law, but those that reached court were 1,496. Now the lizard comes up here and says maybe they think higher learning needs one to be high. That is regarding how many students in this country are being involved in drug abuse at universities or higher institutions of learning.
Wow, that's rather sad. But now let's have a look at the Daily Nation, all the way from Kenya. Queries over billions in Swiss banks. According to the Daily Nation, billions of shillings collected from foreigners traveling to Kenya by President William Ruto's administration was banked in Swiss accounts in a questionable deal reminiscent of the Uhuru Kenyatta government's diversion of Eurobond proceeds to offshore accounts to bypass the consolidated fund. Still on the same report, some 6.5 billion shillings in e-visa revenues was channeled to Swiss account instead of the consolidated fund. Still in the Daily Nation, looting spree in counties mints overnight billionaires. Again, why member of parliament who recorded 2 colleagues fighting in parliament is in trouble. That's in the Daily Nation. And in Matters Court, Moses Kuria banks on his wife to save 100 million shillings property. Still, state probe implicates Mediheal in trafficking of body organs. More about that we will find in the Daily Nation. Now looking at the Citizen, we have big headline there: no sugar shortage this year, says the government. And still in the Citizen, Chadema's election boycott sparks debate over its long-term relevance. Moving on, Nation mourns TANESCO boss killed in a road smash. And you have a pictorial there of what really occurred. It is said his driver died when their vehicle collided with a lorry early yesterday. And with their condolence messages over there. Then still in the Citizen, Empowerment Initiative earns Tuli Mwambapa Continental Award. Edu Kwanzo Study in Europe Fair 2025, and so much more that you will find in the Citizen when you buy your paper today. Now, when we look at the Uganda Gazette, we have this is the Uganda Gazette of 8th, and of course it runs all through this week. We have the Institution of Traditional or Cultural Leaders Act, CAP, and the notice is hereby given to the general public that this corrigendum is issued to correct errors in the names of institutions of traditional or cultural leaders, to declare the area of Uganda where the traditional or cultural leader exists in general notice. And the institutions are here as listed: Kabaka wa Buganda, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi, that is of Buganda; Omukama wa Bunyoro Chitara, Solomon Gafabsa Iguru, the first, that is of Bunyoro; and Omukama wa Toro, Oyo Nyimba Kabamba Iguru Rukidi, the fourth, from Toro; Rot Ubim or Philip Olake Raon, the third, that is for Greater Nebi; and then Lawi Rodi, that is David Onen Achana, the second, for Acholi; and Kamswaga wa Kochi, that is Apollo Sansa Kabumbuli, the second, for Kochi County; and Kwa Adola Moses Stephen Owo for Budama South Bukedi; and Omukama wa Bururi Constantine Butamanya Mwogezi, the first, that is for Bururi; and Emorimo Papa Iteso, that is Emorimo Papa Augustine Osuban Adugala for Teso. Still in the Gazette, we still have other leaders that have been mentioned, but also there is a general notice of the Institutional of Traditional Cultural Leaders. We have the Shabazingo of Busoga, William Wilberforce Gabula Nadjope for Busoga, among others. That is in the Uganda Gazette. You'll find more details when you buy the paper. Now, the Art Song of the Day, inspiration song of the day is Onjagadde Mulwatu.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Killed in due to mob justice in Uganda district. Now, a postmortem has come back, and it has indicated that the police officer was actually not poisoned as the family alleged, because the family alleged that probably there was foul play and he died in police custody. However, the report shows that he had what is called lobar pneumonia, a type of pneumonia that affects the entire lung or a big portion of the lung. So that's what killed the gentleman. And because of that, when the family thought that there was foul play, unfortunately, the village people decided to murder a police officer that had been sent at the burial to maintain security. You see how mob justice takes us like 100 years back.
And I don't know why we choose to call that mob justice. I feel offended whenever we put the word justice. It should be mob injustice. Because you see, justice means it is fair. You've been convicted by a competent court beyond reasonable doubt.
Yes.
And sentenced, therefore, to death. Either by hanging, as our laws have it, because we use the hanging method. And I'm told our gallows are very fresh and ready in case need arises. Now, at no way can we say that is mob justice. It is mob injustice. And it has never delivered justice. Maybe, but it has never delivered justice, I must insist. But what I want to say, and which is very clear, because even in Kasese, recently we saw residents march to a police station regarding the disappearance of a missing child, saying the suspect was arrested, then given police bond on that very day. Police comes out and says, you have this person in our custody, we are taking him in court. So, one, police also to a certain extent must be a little bit more transparent. That is one. Their communication skills, I don't know how best they can do it. And they must be very proactive. But sometimes, our police, being a law enforcement, their public relations at lower levels is lacking. Nationally, yes, they are very good, but at lower levels, it is lacking. PRO, there is something we must do, more so when following sensitive cases. When following sensitive cases, that you must, to what extent are you updating people? Because you know that this is a very sensitive case. So you must give it special attention, therefore, to avoid some of these incidents. We lost a police officer. The Kasese issue, as people are marching to a police station, you may end up firing live bullets, then you have stray bullets, yet if it's communication, that if you're saying this person is not with us, come and see. Like prisons one time did it when they were saying, so no, Frank Baine, the prison spokesperson, invited the press. Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? This is part with us.
Well, thank you, Robert. And unfortunately, because of this incident in Uganda, over 40 people have so far been arrested to aid in the investigation. So this is a reminder that sometimes mob action is not really, it's actually uncalled for. We have to let competent courts and the justice system to do its job. Now, that being said, let's have a look at our local stories.
We'll begin with President Museveni, who has commended Ugandan scientist Dr. Mathias Magola for securing a United States patent for cancer treatment, describing their achievement as a major milestone for Uganda's scientific advancement. The president made the remarks after meeting Dr. Magola, the founder and managing director of Delhi Biofarm Limited, a state house in Entebbe, where the scientist briefed him on the successful patent and his company's ongoing efforts to manufacture life-saving drugs and vaccines. On his part, Dr. Magola informed President Museveni that the United States Patent and Trademark Office officially granted and published his patent on February 6th this very year. He mentioned that patent covers a novel cancer treatment developed over several years using guided RNA attached to the cassadine protein to target and destroy mutated genes responsible for cancer. He added that unlike existing FDA-approved gene editing therapies, his innovation is specifically tailored to treat all types and stages of cancer without harming healthy cells. He cited that this precaution eliminates the severe side effects commonly associated with chemotherapy, antibody therapy, and radiation. The Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, appealed to the clergy to mobilize parishioners to embrace government initiatives that are aimed at increasing household income. Alupo said that religious leaders have regular contact with believers, and this can be taken as an advantage to promote pro-government programs such as the Parish Development Model, PDM, Emyoga, GROW, Youth Livelihood, and WEP. She made the call as she joined Christians of Our Lady of Snow Vinca Cathedral Fort Portal in Kabarole District during the Holy Mass to celebrate Palm Sunday. The Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II, commended people who remained strong and prayed for him during the time he was out of the country for treatment. This was contained in his message delivered by the Katikiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Maiga, during the celebration mass of the 70th birthday held at Lubaga Cathedral.
Had complications from a botched abortion, and the teenager was allegedly impregnated by an unidentified man. Now, looking at this, looking at the high level of pregnancies that are occurring in our midst in the country, COVID-19 did paint rather not so good picture when we had tens of thousands of Ugandan children getting pregnant. Many of these were between the ages of 15 and 17, and according to the laws of Uganda, these are minors. So what is the trigger? What is behind the teenage pregnancies? Of course, we know that sex is what, involving in sex is what leads to this. But behind that, what is compelling young girls, girls as young as 12, 13, 14, 15, to engage sexually, sometimes with men that are way older than them? We'd like you to be a part of this conversation. Join us on WhatsApp number 0709-602-592. We are seeking to find solutions to this problem, because if we have our girls outside of school, if we have more and more girls getting pregnant and some of them having issues and complications from abortions, maybe there is a bigger conversation to be had here, and this is why we are having this conversation today. Robert.
Well, when I was watching that story, it is very painful seeing a mother who is disabled now having another problem of a child who tried unsafe abortion. She used the PDM money. She had bought a cow. She sold the cow to treat the daughter, and at the end of the day also she's being frustrated by police who are asking for money to take samples to the government chemist to find out if they are actually the herbs that were used to carry out this abortion. It's a very complicated story, but at the end of the day, it brings tears to anyone who has an humane heart. Now first, abortion to occur, like Olive rightly put it, there must have been a male and a female who came together, and of course fertilization happened and a fetus was created. Now first, why do we still have teenage pregnancies in Uganda? One, poverty. Truth be told, many of these young girls are put into this action simply because of poverty. Some come from extremely poor families, like the victim here. Their parents can't afford a number of things. So they are deceived, because according to our laws, any girl below the age of 18 years, whether with consent or not, she's taken as someone who is not able to make that decision because she's still young. Now, you'll find a girl, sweets, petticoats, simple things like simple mobile phones and all these. Second is also lack of parental guidance. Most of the parents, the guardians, do not talk straight to their children about sex education. They keep it, they shun, they fear. Now the children end up discovering on their own. 2, our laws. We lack enforcement. We have very good laws when it comes to defilement, but the challenge has been successful enforcement. So people know that this is something you can do and walk away with it, mostly in rural areas. That, well, you sit with the family, they'll tell you, bring a goat, educate this young girl, give us this, and you do away with it. I want to tell you, I believe in the power of precedent, that if all people who were in defilement cases, rape cases, we had a process of expediting these cases, and we secured convictions as stated in our law books. I want to tell people watching us that this would be very minimal if we had, like the way we work on political cases, that there's a time frame to which this case must be dealt with. But I know of a defilement case that has spent 10 years. Now, this girl was about 16.
Now they are 26.
Now they are 26. Do you expect them, even some of us who were witnesses, you've lost the interest to be a witness. Olive, if you were defiled 15 years back, would you still be interested in that case to seek justice? Maybe you even moved on, got married, you are a mother, maybe you are successful, and you still stand in courts of law to say, here I am the victim. So when we look at poverty, when we look at our legal process of sexual, and also evidence required. Now, for this particular mother, disabled, she has sold everything she has, including her mattress. She has sold it to get 70,000, but she's told she needs 200,000 to get these exhibits that police collected when they went to this lady's house that carried the unsafe abortion, and send them to Kampala to a government chemist. 200,000. Most of the times, even when you get these suspects, they'll ask for, do we know even what to do to manage the scene of crime? So there's that complication that make a fertile ground for men out there to carry on, to still not fear, to carry on defilement, impregnating these juveniles, these young girls, because they know you can do away with it. One time I was interviewing Honorable Mary Carrero Crute, and she said over 70% of suspects of rape and defilement walk scot-free. The cases either die a natural death along the way, the case, or something, and the man is out there very confident as if they have never committed an offense. Now, why do you think another one would not do the same?
Robert, there is also reports on the reaction from those that are supposed to help victims. For instance, when these cases are taken to police, there are allegations that police officers do not take them seriously when they are brought in, for instance, cases of rape, cases of defilement, and also there is allegations that police officers sometimes connive with the abusers. The abusers pay them off and then they walk away scot-free. What do you have to say about that?
One of the things I've learned in my country, Uganda, that the more the fine or penalty is high, in terms of if it's a fine that you have to pay a lot of money if you're convicted, or if it's a sentence that you have to pay a lot of money if you're convicted, the more we put tough punishments, the more we make it friendly for corruption.
So what are we supposed to do then?
Now, when a police officer knows they are handling a file that is of rape, that is of defilement, because they know there is life imprisonment, they know what you're going through, that police officer is even excited. Some are very excited because they know you coming before them over that case. You have to come with something hefty. The man will even tell you, sir, gentlemen, are you aware that this case can get you life imprisonment? First, scare the person, even if there are traffic offenses where they require a lot of fines or so. So, these make them so fertile. I want to tell you, Monica, and the viewer this morning, that there is no interesting file to an investigating officer, CID officer. Very interesting as a file of murder, as a file of rape, or those high crimes. Because they know that the suspect already knows what is likely to befall them. So they are willing to surrender whatever it takes to get themselves off the hook. That's why many that have followed in my career as a journalist have found these cases very hard, first even to get the name of the suspect. Very hard for someone to disclose information. And they are the cases that are highly full of corruption and bribery. So that is the challenge. Yeah, a person who has stolen a goat, chicken, assault, those are simple. Any information you need, they'll give you. But you go as a journalist and you're following up a file of defilement, a file of rape. I want to tell you, that is very hard. They'll do all it takes to play around with evidence. They'll look at all technicalities. But Robert, you are following up this person. But yeah, where do you have the actual exhibits? Now, how do I? That's when you shout, tough police officer even shouting at you. Get out of here. Now, if you don't have evidence, how do you proceed? But be a parent. When you go at the back gate, you'll find that this victim, this suspect, has already given a lot of money because they know what is going to come ahead of them. Should this file be thoroughly investigated? Should they stand before a judge and get a sentence?
Wow, interesting. Now, according to the Ministry of Health in Uganda, an average of 1,000 teenage pregnancies are reported per day in Uganda. And according to World Health Organization, they say that complications during pregnancy and childbirth are the leading causes of death for 15 to 19-year-old girls globally. Think about that. Main cause of death, complications at birth. Because let's face it, when a child is 15 or below, but below the age of 18 really, their bodies have not really developed to a level where they can have a child. Yes, they can get pregnant, but their bodies are not yet formed to a degree of having safe deliveries, safe pregnancies. And that's why in the past we've had campaigns against issues like fistula among women, because many of these young women or young girls are not yet ready. So that brings me to the next question, Robert. In your perspective, we have this problem. One, I would actually, it's like it's a two-in-one. First of all, what can we do? What can we do to curb teenage pregnancies? What initiatives do you think the government should adopt to ensure that our girls are not, first of all, losing their futures? Because if they drop out of school at 15, it means that they, one, cannot contribute economically to the development of the country, but also they cannot develop themselves. And yet we are telling many Ugandans to join the money economy. How are they going to do that? So what initiatives should the government adopt to ensure that our girls are not dropping out of school due to teenage pregnancies?
Well, thank you very much, Monica. First, I must say whatever needs to be done is in place. The challenge is we are not enforcing it. Just like many areas in this country, we have very good laws in Uganda. It is very clear. Messing with a girl below the age of 18, our laws put it clearly. It is a life imprisonment. Aggravated defilement, it is death.
Now, that is...
Now, for the bit of the law, we are doing well because you have the laws in place.
Okay.
Now, the challenge with our laws is implementation and enforcement. 2, keeping girls in school. When girls are in school, it has been confirmed. We remember during COVID-19, when schools were closed.
Yes.
How we had a, I don't even know the word to use, but as if the virus was impregnating these young girls.
It was a scourge.
Yes.
Scourge of
Girls became pregnant, like COVID was impregnating the young girls, like the virus.
So it proved that keeping a girl in school...
That keeping a girl in school reduces her chances of engaging in early sex. Because 1, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. And 2nd, when this girl is idle, she's very visible by many ill or immorally not upright men.
Now, Robert, thank you so much for putting it that way. There is the law that you have already addressed. Let's address the teenagers, the adolescents themselves. Is it, in your perspective, do you think it would be helpful for us to, 1, talk to adolescents about teenage unplanned pregnancies, but also to talk to them about safe sex, safe sexual behavior?
I love safe sexual behavior, but not safe sex. But also, it takes me back to one time when we were in school. I and Olive, I'm very sure, we had what we called the ABC. I don't know if late that campaign disappeared.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
ABC.
What is ABC?
Abstinency. We had use of condoms, and the other I've forgotten. But it was a very good slogan under the days of straight talk. We had a straight talk, something like that.
Someone said careful.
Oh, careful. But it was ABC. But I know our viewer really knows the ABC message. But I want to tell you that F failed on a number of occasions. So we must talk to them about their lives and be very open to them. The problem is when you go to our culture, these structures have failed. Those days, a girl, as long as you reached a certain stage, you would go to your auntie in most of the cultures. So your auntie would be very open because you want the daughter, so she's not fearing, and tell you this is going to happen, this is going to happen, you must do this, you must do that. But in this era where aunties are abroad, they are not there, there's that problem. But
we have the parents. Why should you
send
your child to someone else for education?
A number of parents shun or don't feel comfortable enough.
Now speak to the parents on getting the comfort.
To their sons, to talk to their daughters about these issues. But also the parents, you know, you can only give what you have. Some parents were never talked to. And maybe they have not gone through some sessions. So we need deliberate effort to see that we empower our parents to know what to say and not what to say, because
and when to say
truth be and when to say it, because truth be told, this is a person that is discovering themselves, and these discoveries come with a lot of change. When a young girl begins ovulation, definitely we know there are days the body does not belong to her. She doesn't also understand. Because of that process, it is a biological process.
Oh, Robert, I have a few comments. I have some comments, and Ameria Nabukonde from Entebbe says causes of teenage pregnancies, domestic violence, which forces the girls to leave home, school drop out due to lack of school fees, and of course peer pressure. Now the first comment, the first point she mentioned, poverty. Girls, I know many young women who got into marriage or sexual activity because they were trying to get money to buy sanitary towels, to get money to buy a few clothes, not even fancy clothes, but just a few clothes. So I think poverty is a big trigger what to eat. But also, I have another comment coming in from Gracious, who says, "Good morning, Miss Olive, and thanks for the show. My opinion is that it's very hard to fight sexual offenses due to poverty. For example, if a rich man's son defiles a poor man's daughter, I can assure you that there is no way such a man's son can be prosecuted. So corruption and poor enforcement of laws is the leading cause of people losing interest in such cases." It's Gracious Harmony from Barara City. And the next comment says, "Good morning, Olive and Robert. I think let's first look at the core cause of abortion, and to me it is fornication." I think you're looking at pregnancy, and one of the ways people want to confront it is through abortion. Children engage in sex at teenage age, and this is very rampant and it's becoming normal. In schools, we were taught about the 3 methods of avoiding AIDS, namely ABC, abstaining, being faithful to your partner, and condom use. But to young people and school-going children, abstaining was the only option till marriage. And schools used to preach this all over, but now it's fading away gradually. Remember, abortion is very dangerous and it's risking life, but the way nowadays people take it lightly is worrying. Out of 10 girls, at least 2 have ever aborted. It's I'm not sure about the statistics, but this is from a viewer. It's our collective effort as parents and guardians, schools and societies to preach against this. This is from Cricket Derek from Makindye Luafu. And Emma says, Moro Emmanuel, ABC means abstinence, be faithful, and use a condom. Well, our time is fast spent, so we will end our conversation here. Keep it locked on Good Morning Uganda. Zakia Lucky is coming up next with Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express.
Juko.
Yo.
What you
Ajirai.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Buza Commissioner, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear Chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling Chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters,
There exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
That was it from the newsreel. Quite interesting topics, which reminded me of those school days when they talked about ABC, like you had it's abstain, being faithful, and use of condoms. Well, good morning on the GMU Tourism Express. My name is Zakia Lucky, and thank you for sticking around. I have had a chance of visiting different parts of the country, but as far as natural beauty is concerned, there's also a stark reality that is so impossible to ignore, which is the state of sanitation. Which brings us to our today's topic that we're going to be talking about, and I have a guest with me who is going to introduce himself and help us discuss this topic. We are happy to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ivan Luja, Project Coordinator, Miss Tourism Uganda. I'm also an environmentalist and a tourism promoter.
Yes, I'll start with applauding you for what you've done in the country. He's been doing a number of cleanups. Talk about tree planting, walking long distances, and one of those people that are always talking about the sanitation of this country on social media, especially with how we are going to impress our tourists, even our well-being as Ugandans. So first of all, I've seen you do all these activities. What has been your impression been like when you move to different parts of the country doing cleanups?
Uganda, we are doing badly. We're doing badly, we're doing so badly, and it seems Ugandans are not even interested. They're okay with the sanitation, with their sanitation. Where we've moved around and people will tell us, we pay tax, why don't they come and clean? And then you tell them that, oh, so you want them to even come and clean your office? Because if you're at a market and you're seated in dirt, you're selling food, and after that you complain that people don't buy from you, you're dirty. No one wants to buy from dirty people. One time I walked 100 kilometers pushing for sanitation along Bombo Road. I think it goes up to Kakoge. And I was talking to the Luwelo people, telling them, people in that area, because it's mostly Luwelo, and I was telling them, guys, for us, when we have tourists, we won't stop to buy things from you. We will just go the way to the other side near Kafu, all those areas where people are actually keeping their business premises clean. So you will be here, and we shall pass with our tourists and continue there. And all of them were just looking at me like I'm talking nonsense. They weren't bothered. They weren't bothered. But it seems it's something that's coming from when we are still young. No one is talking about it, that you have to be clean. Yes, to make money.
You talked about tourists stopping and trying to purchase a few things. How do you think they've been affected by the sanitation?
Of course. No one wants to buy from a dirty place. Remember where these people come from. They're clean. They're so clean. I remember when I also used to come to visit, the first thing I would notice is the litter everywhere, the flies, the dust, all that dirt. It's what you notice first. And remember, first impression. Yeah. So when we were with these people, for them what they do, they be there, you can take them, for example, I like taking them for fresh fish. And they are eating, but you see them not comfortable at all. And remember, the theme for this year is tourism and peace. So tourism and peace, when we were doing when we were talking about it, everyone was talking about Karamoja, peace, peace here, peace here. But they forgot that even in the room where the person is going to sleep, if they see that cockroach moving around, they'll be like, no, they won't be peaceful. They'll be like, hey, this cockroach might jump on me. If they are moving around and they see all these flies, if they are eating and they are seeing flies, they're not at peace. So peace comes in very many different ways. And hygiene is part of the peace. If you're not hygienic, someone is not comfortable, they are not peaceful.
So you are saying the biggest part is supposed to be played by Ugandans?
Ugandans have to know that if they're going to make money from tourism, they have to be clean. Their hygiene has to be up at par. It has to be at standards, international standards. We can't have a hotel when just outside the hotel it's all littered. First impression, if someone is coming to your hotel and they see all this litter outside, they will be like, oh, this place, where are we going to? I had this American friend who came here. She's married to a Ugandan. And we used to talk all the time. So she was like, Ugandans are selfish. Because we had gone to someone's home, of course he's walled in two with the perimeter wall, but outside his perimeter wall was all littered. And she was like, Ugandans are selfish. At least they should try to have someone should clean, but now they've hidden themselves into their home. They're not bothered about outside their place. So that was the first impression. Of course, we entered the gate, it looked so nice. But still, she had that in her mind, that outside there is dirty.
When you talk about these people being cleaner and then wondering, is it because their governments are probably pushing them to do something about it? Because how different are these people maybe from Ugandans, in that for them they're trying to keep their country or their homes and their environment clean, which Ugandans are not doing?
Actually, they have very serious laws that are implemented. In the US, if you litter, $200 fine. $200 fine. One time I was with someone, we came off a ship, and then this guy being drunk, he went and started urinating in the ocean. The police officer waited for him. As soon as he was done, he wrote him a ticket. Here, what we call a receipt. He wrote him a ticket of $200. I'm like, $200 for urinating in the ocean. If you litter, they don't play about that. I can tell also my personal experience. I'm waiting for a bus. I get out. I sit and I bought myself some donuts. As I was done eating, I left. I didn't drop it on the ground, but I left the trash on the bench at the bus stop. I'm in line. A little kid of around 8, 7 comes to me. Excuse me, sir, you can't leave that there. Now you see why the kids are also important to know these things. You can't leave that there. I got out of the line, went and put the dustbin. The bus driver was nice. He didn't leave me, because it would have been a problem for me. He didn't leave me, but when I entered the bus, everyone probably was looking at this African who's bringing his bad manners to their country, because they take hygiene seriously. You can't litter. And I was lucky, they like calling the police. Someone would have called the police on me and gotten that fine of $200. So we have to be very, very serious about it. But most Ugandans are not bothered.
They're not bothered?
Yeah, in most cases when I'm driving, I stop and you guys, what you did is wrong. Pick it up. If I'm walking, I tell you, what you did is wrong, pick it up. But they say guy of Lugezigezi, that's what they say.
When you talk about that thing of money, of when you litter, you have to pay this amount of money. You know how Ugandans can be stubborn and what it means to take their money away from their pockets. So probably that is one of the things that we should start doing. I think when you impose such a thing on a Ugandan, they're going to take it seriously, not to litter, as much as they know money is going to be pulled out of their pockets.
Yes, the politicians also should also start behaving right.
Okay.
You can't keep on saying, oh, the little man, the Muntu Wansi, all those things. It's just spoiling Ugandans. Ugandans are not responsible anymore. They think everything someone else is supposed to do. They will give you excuses. But this, but that. But we should be serious about it. Yes, I see kids littering and no one will tell the kid that, don't do that. As when we were in primary, I went to Nakaseo Primary. If you did that, the next day you would go to school and someone who saw you, not even a parent, went to the school and reported that a kid, a student from here or a pupil from here littered. And you would be having problems with the headmaster.
That will take us also back to schools to educate these children, actually right from home before we even get back to schools. So when we talk about tourism promoters and also tour guides who move with these tourists, how can they be a part of this cause to ensure that where they are taking our guests, all these tourists, it's appealing?
I've talked to a number of them, but also a lot of them will give you excuses. You guys, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this. They will give you all these excuses. But they should know that it's in their best interest. It's in their best interest to have a clean Uganda. These tourists come here and they give reviews. If they went and checked on the internet, they give reviews. And those reviews, if they talk about if they talk about the hygiene and all that, even insurance companies there will tell you, don't go to that country, you'll get sick. Or we won't cover you. And those people won't come. We're trying to look for these big budget people. They won't come. The insurance companies tell them, no, we won't cover you. And they don't come and they switch to other countries like Tanzania and all that. Yes, please.
That's true. So maybe give us your closing remarks or reviews that you need any Ugandan to take up regarding sanitation or the cleanliness of our country.
Sanitation should be taken seriously by every Ugandan. All ministries, especially the Ministry of Education, should start something like this, where they're going to be teaching these students on how to be clean, to keep their country clean. The tourism industry should also join. Let's not leave it to just KCCA. Let's not leave it to the local governments. Let's all come out and talk about it. And once we talk about it, our country will be good and people will come to visit when they are comfortable and peaceful and will have fun with whatever they are doing. Then we shall make money. We shall make those dollars. We shall get all those things. But then if we just sit back and wait for KCCA can't handle the whole thing. We should be working in tandem with all these people. And then we shall be happy.
And maybe the Ministry of Health itself. Well, when we go back, it's our responsibility. Like you've heard, we forget some things, that this earth is our home, and if we don't take care of it, we're definitely going to lose it out if we continue damaging it. And you don't take responsibility to not litter or take action and speak to someone that is littering. Not to do that. We need to do better so that we protect earth where we stay as our home. We are still on Good Morning Uganda, and stick with us. My name's been Zakia Lucky.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know. Get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Buza Commissioner, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887 and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
In all these years, we emphasize 2 words, wealth and jobs, and we try to waken our people up to show them where wealth and jobs come from.
The Parish Development Model, PDM, is a bold initiative that is reshaping Uganda's rural economy. By allocating 100 million shillings to each parish annually, PDM empowers households by unlocking opportunities for wealth creation.
This program will be maintained. Each year we send 100 million for the parish. If you get the 1 million, you can buy some goats, you can buy some pigs, you can buy even young cows.
Farmers are transitioning from subsistence farming to commercial agriculture, laying the groundwork for wealth creation and improved livelihoods.
This project started 11 years ago after an inspiration from His Excellency. And that time I was working as a taxi driver. I was doing that mass business in Soroti, and he was talking about how to improve household income
With the PDM, you bring back the money after 24 months. But in the third year, you would get another 100 million paid back by those who got first.
The president's message is a mindset changer. Becoming rich does not mean you should have a lot of land, you should have a lot of education, you just need a vision and implement and start from where you are.
So therefore, this PDM is to get all of you out of poverty. That's why we said 100 million per parish per year.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the Front Bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport.
If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Buza Kamiso now, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear Chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling Chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the MyMTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project. That answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. And welcome back from that insightful conversation with Zakia Lucky on Uganda's tourism. Now, before we start our conversation today, those applying the Northern Uganda route, there is good news as the Ministry of Works and Transport has already announced and indicated that the route is being opened up. Now, according to the Ministry of Works and Transport, they are saying that they are pleased to inform the public that Karuma and Ayago bridges along the Kampala-Gulu Highway will be reopened to all traffic on the morning of Monday, which is today, 14th April 2025. This follows the successful installation and curing of expansion joints. These are critical components that allow the bridge structure to expand and contract with temperature changes and traffic loads, thereby maintaining its structural integrity and extending its lifespan. Now, we thank all road users and stakeholders for their patience and cooperation during this essential maintenance period. While additional works such as the installation of guardrails, street lighting, river training works, cut eyes installation and painting of the structured steel plate girders under the bridge will continue, these works will not affect traffic flow. Wishing you a safe journey and a happy Easter holiday. And it's undersigned Ministry of Works and Transport. There it is, looking beautiful and magnificent. Now, the guest I have today, I'm sure he is very excited about this development, and he'll tell us more about that when we delve into the conversation. But today, we getting into a conversation we've had here before, but one we need to continue having because it's affecting many young Ugandans. And today we turn our focus to a critical but often overlooked public health issue, which is sickle cell anemia in the country. Now, in Uganda, the burden of this genetic blood disorder remains significant, especially in the northern and eastern parts of the country. Actually, according to records, but the doctor I have will correct me if I'm wrong, but at least according to the research I've looked at, it is said that the carrier rate in these regions is among the highest in the world. Now, despite growing awareness, thousands of Ugandan children continue to suffer at the risk or at the hands of sickle cell anemia. Now, joining us today to have a look at this, the progress but also the challenges in fighting sickle cell anemia in Uganda is Dr. Dan Odu, who is the Executive Director, Catherine Field Sickle Cell Support Initiative. Good morning and you're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. A very good morning to the viewers. The news about Karuma should excite almost everybody that plies on that particular route, mainly for business and tourism related issues, and also swift response to a number of health facilities that are probably not that side, that are situated within the capital, and that is Kampala. So thank you so much, the Ministry of Works and Transport. We are profoundly honored, and we believe that this will go a long way in helping to connect the northern part of the country to the rest of the country with a shorter traveling period compared to when people were traversing the eastern part of the route, and so thank you. Now people can enjoy some good delicacies at Konakamdini, you know, the cassava and the chicken. So that's it. I would like to thank UBC for coming up to champion this sickle cell awareness, and this does not come very easily. It takes in lots of dedication, persistence, and which UBC has actually done well, or is doing well. We are so much grateful for having us here. I would want to begin from where you had stopped, then I come in to explain what sickle cell is. The northern part of the country, according to statistics of about 2014-16 by Professor Grace Ndezi and her colleagues, the northern part of the country has the highest prevalence of sickle cell. And that is Lango and Acholi, with close to 18%, northern part of the country. Then we go to Lango, which has the highest prevalence. Then we go to Alebtong district. Alebtong is within Lango sub-region, bordering Amuria, with 23.8%, way much more higher than the national prevalence of 17%. There are lots of other contributing factors that has propelled this prevalence to where it is right now. One of them is lack of awareness and sensitization. Our people hardly know what sickle cell is all about. All they know is referring to sickle cell to like witchcraft or maybe a curse. I remember those days when we were growing, we would hear our elders say that, please, if you're going to marry, don't marry from family X, because they normally reach a certain age and then their children die. Just before I walked in here, I had a very good discussion with somebody who was telling me that when they were growing, they were told not to go and marry from a certain family. That because they had some sickness or they had done some ritual or some sacrifice that would kill their children. Now, in that region, we also have lots of divisionism amongst their clans. In Lango, there is close to about 134 clans. That is 134 clans. Okay. And these clans, there are those that we know that they are more or less like carriers of the sickle cell traits. Like we know that, yes, they are carriers of sickle cell, like the prevalence of the traits amongst them is quite high. So if Daniel contests with Roy to be the clan chief of that clan, then Roy wins Daniel. So Daniel will break up to go and form another clan. So in the long process, Roy's clan and Daniel's clan will end up marrying from each other.
So it's kind of inbreeding.
Yes, it is inbreeding it, and the list goes on and on. But also, history tells us that way back when malaria was being combated or being fought, there was a genetical mutation that gave birth to sickle cell. As people were trying to fight malaria here and there, there was a genetical mutation that gave birth to sickle cell. If you moved around certain belts that have higher prevalence of sickle cell, you will discover that also there is a higher prevalence of malaria. A lepton, a patch. Then in terms of statistics, we shall move to the east. The east comes in as number 2. The areas of Tororo, Bokedia, Jinja, Busoga. Recently, we were in Busoga, in Kamuli. We had an outreach there, and the statistics are quite alarming. And that region sits at close to 15.1% of the prevalence. Then you come to the central part of the country, which is Uganda, that sits at close to 10%. Then you go to the western part of the country, which is at 4.1%, which is relatively lower than all these other regions. This could have also, like we have already talked of lack of information. People hardly know about sickle cell. We visited a family in Aleptong. The lady had lost 6 children. 6. And wherever they would reach a certain age, these children would die. 5, 4, 6, 7, 9, they would pass on. The lady was excommunicated from her marital home, and so was, she was excommunicated. She went and got married somewhere else. To another man. And the man also went and married another lady somewhere. So she now has 2 children, the lady. The man has 3 children the other side.
So they, okay.
Yes, I will come to something. Now, when we heard of this, we went and screened them for sickle cell traits. We got to know that the lady was a carrier. She had the traits. The guy was a carrier. He had the traits.
So when they got together...
So when they got together, now when 2 sickle cell carriers meet father and mother, they give birth to a sickle cell warrior. Or they give birth to a child who has sickle cell. Now, we had to bring the community together to understand what sickle cell is all about. But it also took time because, one, they weren't understanding all this. we had to go through the church. We went through the religious leaders, the cultural leaders within that particular area to make them get to know that sickle cell is not due to witchcraft. It's not due to any bad omen that probably the lady would have brought into the family, as they were alleging. So once we brought them together, they got to understand. We took them through a genetic counseling where we were in position to demonstrate that, one, if you're a carrier, if the lady is a carrier and the man is a carrier, that is AS. If all of them are carrying the genotype AS, that means that some children will be sickle cell warriors, others will be normal children. Then we also gave them a scenario where if all of them are having SS, genotype SS, meaning that all of them are sickle cell warriors, they will definitely also give birth to sickle cell warriors.
Yes.
Now, the other thing which has given us quite a very big challenge in the country is as we try to combat and manage sickle cell, is the lack of high-tech treatment, which is not yet in the country. But if you compare it to other countries, like probably if you went to India and then the US, you will find that their technological advancement in terms of care and management of sickle cell is quite advanced. It is quite epic compared to what we have in the country right now. In the US, people are now talking of gene therapy. Yes, we have talked about here in the country, and lots of discussions have come up. JCRC that sits in Lubowa have been in different discussions. I remember last year there was a symposium on, it was the first gene and cell something which took place in Uganda here. And the discussions that came from there, there were lots of new technology that is coming up, even to combat HIV/AIDS, not only sickle cell. But this will take time to arrive in Uganda for the Omuntu wa wansi to also be in position to access these services. For example, on a rough estimate, about 3.7 million US dollars, if you convert it to our Ugandan shillings. Those are lots of billions of shillings, which the last person down, probably in Boroboro or in Kapialibong, might not be in position to afford. So that still becomes a challenge. Budget. We have not yet fully seen a dedicated budget, probably being like dedicated to combating sickle cell. It would be imperative if all the different actors, the development partners, team up, galvanize their efforts towards making sure that we have a dedicated budget, a consolidated budget towards response for combating sickle cell. Just like we had one for HIV, we know that there is a commission which is dedicated towards making sure that the 95 casket of elimination of HIV/AIDS is achieved. But we don't have that for sickle cell. Access to a life-changing medication, which is hydroxyurea. Yes, the government is contributing towards making sure that there is hydroxyurea, but there are still gaps. The prices are way too expensive if you went into any pharmacy around town, even deep down in the villages. For example, somebody who is prescribed for hydroxyurea, like let me say 1,000 milligrams. Each capsule will cost you close to between 800 shillings to 2,500 on a higher end. Now, some people take 2 of them. Now, for somebody deep down in a Leptong district, in Alolololo or in Omoro, will not have that money on a daily. It would be imperative that these prices are subsidized. Just like if you went to any pharmacy, you will be in position to access any anti-malarial across the counter at 3,000 shillings, a full dose. But remember, this is a medication that somebody will take for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
So it would be imperative that one, we have their prices subsidized in the country, or where even possible. We have seen some investors, some pharma companies that have been invited into the country, and probably they are manufacturing medication or these drugs in the country. Why can't we have the same for sickle cell as well? Or why can't different pharma companies also have negotiate for patent rights so that these drugs are manufactured in the country here, and the prices will go down, and access and affordability will be at its peak. Stigma still remains a very big challenge across the country. There are people that I know that have sickle cell warriors home, but they have not come up openly to seek for help. We went to Kitgum and we discovered that there was a child tied in the house.
Tied in the house?
Yes.
Why?
Termed as a child of bad omen. A sickle cell warrior tied in the house. And only the family members knew about it. It took us time to talk to the parents, to let them get to understand what sickle cell is all about, what brings it, how can they manage sickle cell related issues, some complications, home-based care services or management practices for this child.
Now, Dr. Dunn, from what I'm hearing, it seems like in as much as we see increased awareness when it comes to sickle cell disease, there are still gaps for the same.
Yes.
So how are you trying to, to close these gaps? Because if we still have families tying up children, that's really sad. But it points to the bigger picture that probably the awareness campaigns that are in place are not reaching people at the grassroots. So how are you planning to solve that?
Yes, the gaps still exist, and as an NGO, as a civil society, our work is to complement or supplement on what the government is doing. We have been in position to raise awareness in some of these places. We have some radio communications. There are talk shows that takes place in some of those areas. We have outreaches that target certain key populations in those places. We have dealt very closely with the church because we believe that a number of people do go through their churches, and we talked to the churches. We have addressed different congregations on a number of occasions to take them through, to get to know what sickle cell is all about. We have gotten in touch with religious leaders. We have educated them so that it can have some trickle-down effect. Because honestly, due to resource constraint, we cannot be everywhere. There are different organizations which are spread across. We have Raising Hope International Friends in eastern part of the country and a number of other sickle cell organizations. We have RareMark We have Catherine Field Sickle Cell Support Initiative. There is Uganda Sickle Cell Rescue Foundation. There is TACO Sickle Cell. There is the Sickle Cell Association of Uganda. There is the Sickle Cell Network. So there are lots of things which are happening, but sometimes it might not reach down to everyone.
Yes.
Due to resource constraint related issues. Then the other thing is we have also tried to hold different workshops or seminars for the caregivers. We have trained a number of caregivers to help and support the sickle cell warriors in how best they can manage sickle cell from home. There are some few illnesses that come due to probably not following certain guidelines if you have a sickle cell warrior. But also we have empowered the sickle cell warriors to also become ambassadors to spread the gospel about sickle cell, so that people get to learn to know that, okay, so-and-so is a sickle cell warrior, but she's come out openly to talk about sickle cell. So people are also getting to learn from them. Apart from that, we have been in position to fight stigma. Like, remember, I was saying that this is one of our biggest challenge. You remember those days when HIV was very rampant, or the first strain or stuff like that? People used to call it silimu.
It had different names.
It had different names.
In Buganda here, some people would say "Mbwaya mulumye," beaten by a dog, to
yes.
mean you have HIV. Yes.
Then in the northern part of the country, people called it tuojonyo. The disease that makes you very slim, chilim. Yes.
So oh my God.
Slim. So
yes.
Not everybody who is slim
has
HIV or has sickle cell.
Yes.
Because sickle cell also causes some stunted growth. Some of them are slim. Some of them are actually well built, like me. So it is quite hard sometimes, and even these days, to also just like clinically say that, okay, this is a sickle cell warrior. But there are some...
You can't screen, some cannot be screened by just the mere use of
until
eyes.
When you screen somebody. But however, there are some possible leads, like, for example, jaundice, the yellowing of the eyes, you know, the swelling of the joints, you know, and excessive pain, the vaso-occlusive pain that comes up. So these are things which sometimes leads you to knowing that so and so probably could be having traits of a sickle cell, or this one is a sickle cell warrior. The other thing is what? The cost of testing alone across the country is quite high. If somebody went into any facility right now, or any private facility, and wants to test for sickle cell, if we did a random survey across the country, it's expensive. The Umuntu wa wansi cannot be in position to test. Some ranges between, the lowest one ranges between 20 to 150. And somebody pulling out 20,000 shillings in our villages, that is quite expensive. If somebody cannot even be in position to afford paying 2,500 or 1,000 for examination for their child, then what about now coming to test for sickle cell? So as CSOs, and with support from the Ministry of Health, we have galvanized our efforts towards taking sickle cell testing to the lowest person. And this is happening, and as Catherine Field Sickle Cell Support Initiative, we galvanize our efforts with the existing government health facilities to run these tests totally free of charge. Free of charge.
At health center for
at health center 4s, 3s, and even 2s, wherever we have outreaches. we work closely with those hospitals that exist. Because one, we are not mandated to do those tests. We are not any hospital. We are not any clinic to do those tests. And through the office of the coordination office for sickle cell, which is run by Dr. Charles Chiaga, is the National Sickle Cell Coordinator in Uganda. Some CSOs have been in position to also receive trainings on how best to handle sickle cell related issues. Customized sickle cell awareness messages in different languages. Now that also trickles down to the lower health facilities in terms of CMEs, continuous medical education, or CPDs, continuous professional development, so that these health workers are equipped with how best to handle sickle cell patients. We have seen in some facilities where our sickle cell warriors do run to in order to access services, but they are made to line up like these other normal people. Yet the kind of pain which they go through is unexplainable. It's only them who can explain this. When we were growing, we used to tie our index finger with a rubber band.
Yes.
If you tied it for close to 1 hour, then you must have been the Bandang of those days.
The warrior, the emperor,
yes,
the lion.
Yes. You cannot tie your index finger close to 30 minutes. So that is the pain which they go through. Blood is trapped up somewhere. It cannot travel. The sickle cells are getting so much sticky into the blood vessels. It is causing inflammation. There is too much pain, and we cannot describe their pain.
And
so,
now we are making them
making them line up. It is imperative for any hospital director, for any in charge who is watching us right now. If you have a sickle cell warrior, or if you have seen any lining up, please excuse them. Let them get an expedited medical response in your facility. There is a sickle cell clinic and a sickle cell ward in Mulago, led by Dr. Philip Kasirie. Dr. Deo Munube is there. Dr. Namazi Ann. There are lots of good people there. If you went to all these regional centers of excellence, which has been set up by the Ministry of Health, they are doing quite a recommendable job amid these challenges that is existing.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Dan. Now, if you're just joining the conversation, we are speaking matters sickle cell disease in Uganda. What are the challenges that the fight for the same is still facing, but also what is the progress? And I am speaking to Dr. Dan Odu, who is the Executive Director at the Catherine Field Sickle Cell Support Initiative. He's painted quite a good picture of where we are, and he has also helped us to understand why some parts of the country, like the northern and eastern parts of the country, have more prevalent when it comes to sickle cell disease. But if you just caught the conversation, we are streaming live on our YouTube channel, so you can even rewind and follow the conversation from where it started. But if you have any views, comments, or questions to Dr. Dan, you can join the conversation on WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Now, Dr. Dan, you have really given us a lot, but I will still ask, when it comes to the issue of access to treatment, you have told us that you, as civil society organizations, you're working or partnering with hospitals at the grassroots to ensure that you take, the message of sickle cell there to, create awareness to the people in different regions, and also you're offering free treatment. But one would wonder, when it comes to essential treatments like hydroxyurea, yes, and blood transfusions to patients across different regions, what challenges are hospitals, are medics facing to give this?
Thank you. in terms of access to hydroxyurea or care and management of sickle cell, as CSOs, we are not mandated in any way to, okay, we are not any hospital. We are not any clinic to be giving out medication, but we advocate for the availability of this medication, even when there is a donation given to us by any prospective partner. We make sure that they are donated to the nearest health facility, or they go to the national medical stores for redistribution to these facilities. Like we have been trying to say that right now we have a project being run by the Texas Children's Hospital in Kayunga under Baylor, which was launched last year by the PS for the Ministry of Health, the incredible Dr. Diana Atwine. A training center is being set up in Kayunga. Okay. Now, this training center, there is a construction of a big medical facility which will help to respond to a number of sickle cell related issues. But not only that, right now they are also into community engagement with a number of communities and sickle cell warriors. There is also access to hydroxyurea in that region, especially for that project. Now, Kayunga stretches to Kaliro and all those other surrounding districts. So in that area, there is access to hydroxyurea as I talk right now. And also, the government is also contributing to a bigger extent in making sure that, yes, this medication is available. Sometimes they are on donation to the government. When Novartis came, they gave some donation to the government. And there is still procurement, but at a very minimal rate, but which I believe in this next financial year, we have written to the Committee of Health at Parliament to at least have a dedicated budget for this medication.
Yes.
If we are talking of folic acid, can we have folic acid distributed in all these health facilities?
I thought that was the norm.
Can we have, but sometimes it is not there.
Okay.
But we also might not blame them because there are lots of people who go in to access this medication. True. Sometimes you might find that there is facility X. For example, those ones are across the border. If you went to a place like where? Aleptong, you might find some people coming from Amuria to access hydroxyurea in Aleptong, and you can't chase them.
And what
Those
we
are
have
Ugandans.
was
And
provided for the
yes,
people of Aleptong.
What you have was probably requisition for that particular catchment area. But now it goes on trying to expand, causing stockouts. So if we have a dedicated budget towards having this essential medication for people living with sickle cell, this will go a long way to save the last person down. If you're taking hydroxyurea, it has become a game changer for the warriors. The numbers of the numbers of blood transfusion, which you normally have probably in a year, will reduce. Then the frequency of infection will also reduce. So this drug is causing wonders to our sickle cell patients across the country. We are only advocating to make sure that can we have enough for the last person. But I'm glad, if all goes well, this financial year, this budget, there is some allocation for this essential medication, and we are progressively following it up to make sure that at least it appears, and that will be the beginning step for us.
Wow, that's amazing and tremendous progress, Dr. Dan. I must congratulate you on that. Join the conversation on WhatsApp number 0709-602-592. Now, we are almost coming to the end of our conversation, but I have a question here from Jim, who says, my name is James. We have a 5-year-old sickle cell child whose tooth was extracted but has got his gum swollen and is in crisis. How can we reach you, or how can this situation be helped?
Yes, James, wherever you are watching this from, I don't know where you're watching this from.
He said currently they're in a general hospital, but he didn't mention where.
The doctors there should be in position to assess this child and make all the necessary recommendation. And I don't know whether the tooth extraction was done by somebody who is a professional. I hope it was not a false tooth which was trying to be removed. And in most cases, we have had incidences not only for sickle cell warriors. Mothers or parents have a tendency of removing the false tooth, and this in the long run harbors lots of infections. You run to the hospital. By the time probably somebody is running to the bigger health facility, you are first somewhere down there in the village trying to have some concoctions here and there. So please, I believe you're in the right place. We are going to share possible cell phone numbers here.
You can share now.
0392 15 0047.
Okay.
0392 15 0047.
Then I have another question from Ebam Joseph. There are many, but I will put them at once. He asks, what are the causes of sickle cell? How do we manage to control sickle cell? What are some of the signs and symptoms of sickle cell victims? This is Joseph from Mogadishu.
Thank you, Joseph. It's an honor to hear that you're watching the big network from Mogadishu, Asanteni. Sickle cell, for somebody to be a sickle cell warrior, that means that both your parents were sickle cell carriers. They were having the hemoglobin S. They were carriers, or they had the traits of sickle cell. Like, remember at the commencement of this conversation, I said that in order for you to give birth to a child who has sickle cell, both parents will need to be carriers. I don't want to go into the science.
Yes.
So both parents should be carriers of the genes, then you'll give birth to a sickle cell warrior. Control. You need to take lots of precautionary measures. If it is warm or cold, please, like right now, this is a rainy season.
Yes.
Keep the child warm. Give the child warm food. Keep the child in warm clothes. Stress, avoid the child from having stress. Sleep under an insecticide-treated mosquito net. Okay? Avoid giving the child excess work to do. Rehydrate, or hydrate the child. Take lots of fluids. And by lots of fluids, we are not talking of your carbonated drinks and stuff like that. Water is there. Homemade juice is also fantastic. It is epic.
Non-soda.
Not soda. Follow your medication timetable promptly. Take your folic acid. Take your hydroxyurea. Keep smart, keep clean. Okay? Avoid triggers of stress.
Okay. Now, doctor.
And also, last, avoid taking some concoctions which are not defined.
All right.
That has become a very big challenge because we have discovered that some of these medication or some of these concoctions are not clearly approved by NDA. There is a very big challenge still. Now, it is like somebody taking lira, okay? Or somebody taking ntonto. Or you're riding your bicycle. The bicycle doesn't have any odometer. Whether you're cruising at 180 kilometers per hour, you will not know. these concoctions, nobody knows their efficacy, concentration, okay, their potency, nobody knows. Okay. In the long run, you'll be affecting some of your organs.
Okay. Owen Raymond from Bali City says that thank you so much for hosting Dr. Dan. I am learning a lot. But then, Doctor, someone else is asking how they can control, how can they ensure that they do not end up with a child that has sickle cell?
Fantastic. As Catherine Field Sickle Cell Support Initiative, and even the ministry, I'm not the spokesperson for the Ministry of Health, but we work closely with the Ministry of Health as well. In Africa, most countries do go for curative approach.
Yes.
Oh, I am sick, okay, medicine. But we are saying prevention is the first entry point into combating sickle cell disease in Uganda. That is why all over the country, we have close to about 150 testing points with 10 regional centers of excellency. Now, before you get married or before you even get sexually active, please get to know your sickle cell status.
So are you saying if we go on a date and we like each other, the next thing we should do before we continue,
sickle cell
go
status,
to the hospital.
Get to know your genotype.
Okay.
Just like you go and do for HIV.
Yes.
If you're going to do an HIV test, you can even tell them, say, add-ons. Yes, sickle cell.
Okay.
A sickling test. Do it for me.
Is the test done at any hospital?
Yes, there are a number of facilities that do that. Most private health facilities do charge you some money, but a number of government health facilities will do that free for you. Mulago is one of them, which we know, and all other government facilities and all the regional centers of excellence.
Okay.
Then there are CSOs like Catherine Field that supports you or can help you to allocate any facility that will help you to do sickle cell screening free of charge.
Well, thank you. Now, this one says name withheld, but he says, thank you for the program and thank you for bringing in that Dr. Dan, for such insightful messages about sickle cell. Recently, my girlfriend openly told me that she is a sickle cell carrier, showed me her testing card. She was open to me, which I thank her so much for. That, however, I intend to go with her for testing to find my status too, such that we can have a better and healthy family. I'm a bit scared of her status impact to our intended family. What do I do, sir, after testing? And God forbid, in case we happen to be all carriers, what advice do you give us? And I think your answer to that question will be will mark the end of our conversation.
Somebody sang and said, love is a big feeling and mankind should keep it flowing. The strong bond in love should also at one point help you to have sight under normal circumstances. I would like to thank her for being open in telling you her sickle cell status. You also now need to take up the initiative to go and know your sickle cell status. In the event that all of you are carriers or have the genes, we don't advise people to break up their relationship, but we take you through the merits and the demerits, so that one, you weigh it in, you are in position to weigh it out. That, okay, if I went on with this relationship, this is what will happen. If I don't go on with this relationship, this is what will happen. Of course, now there are lots of technological advancements which have come up. I'm hearing people say that, yes, now you can go and have an IVF, blah, 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 but it is quite expensive. So there are lots of things which are coming up, but please, you need to first seek for premarital counseling before you can proceed. And we also offer those services. They are available with us. Maybe, Olive, just in a snapshot, yes. There are lots of progress which has been made, and we would like to commend the Ministry of Health for some of these progress. 10 regional centers of excellence across the country. There is a hub system that picks samples from the farthest health facility, brings it closer, and it is brought to the Central Public Health Laboratory for furthermore probing. For confirmatory tests, yes, there are awareness messages with CSOs, which are ongoing, and research is ongoing. There is a SPACO, a sickle cell project at Makerere, led by Dr. Sarah Chiguli. They are doing wonders. They are training health workers. There is Baylor and lots of other projects across the country. And mark you as an end, Uganda has one of the best practices in combating sickle cell in Africa. Most countries do come to benchmark from Uganda.
Well, Dr. Dan, it feels like the conversation had just started because many more questions are coming through. We unfortunately cannot share all of the questions, but I will encourage Dr. Dan to share the number he shared with us earlier so that you can call and have these questions answered. Dr. Dan.
Once again, I share the number?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give two numbers. 0392 15 00 47. Then 0772 897 869.
Okay, well, call any of those numbers so that you can ask any questions you have. I had parents asking about transfusion. I had someone else asking about yellowing of eyes. Many questions that you did ask, but the number has been given. One, if I may, it is 0392 50047. No, 0392 150047. Call and have your questions answered. But for now, we will say goodbye. Thank you so much, Dr. Dan.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you for being a part of this program. Now, Good Morning Uganda Sports Updates coming up next. I'll catch you again tomorrow at 6. Well, thank you so much and have a beautiful day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Buza Kamiso now, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are